Dogmen in Michigan that hunt people in the forests. Demons from Dover or from the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. Is it really hard for us to believe that Bigfoot doesn't roam this country? These topics and more, only on Cryptid Conversations.
Live.
Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, or wherever you are in this wonderful country of ours. Welcome to another episode of Cryptid Conversations. I am your host, Brother Blue. With me today, my esteemed group of panelists, the wonderful and always sassy Michelle, the skeptical Thorsten,
He's sassy too.
and he's sassy in his own way. And then we got Jasper, the story princess, the wonderful apple of my eye, the daughter I never had or wanted. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cryptid Conversations. Today's topic, the Michigan Dogman.
Jasper, I'll go do it.
Nah, don't you even start. Today's topic, ladies and gentlemen, the Michigan Dogman. Now, bum, bum, bum. The Michigan Dogman. I mean, come on, think about this. This is a large, canine-looking, like werewolf-type creature that has been sighted from everywhere from Michigan to the West Coast, from Michigan out here to the East Coast of Pennsylvania. So these things are seen all over the country. Now, first off, we're going to start with Jasper. Jasper's got one of the stories of the Michigan Dogman for us right now. Jasper, what do you got for us?
I've got a story about a sighting about the Dogman. In July 2009, the writer borrowed their father's Chevy pickup truck to help their sister move. Their father lives about 10 miles southeast of Fenville, Michigan. It was about 10:30 at night when the writer was on 118th Street when a small herd of deer emerged on the right side of the road. The writer slowed way down upon seeing them, wanting to play it safe, not wanting to hit one of them. However, instead of crossing the road, they perked their head up and stared across the road, but the writer didn't see anything there. At that point, the writer claims to be about 200 yards away and slowly approaching the deer, waiting for them to cross the road. They were about 50 feet away from the deer when it came out from the tall weeds on the left-hand side of the road where the deer had been staring before. It was on all fours, but looked more like it was crouching than standing. The writer describes it as chocolate brown with a bushy tail, similar to a German Shepherd, with fur that was shaggy and unkempt, with pointy ears, wolf-shaped head, and bearing its pointy white teeth. The truck the writer was driving was a large Duramax truck, but the creature being on all fours was about the same height as the driver's side window. It was looking down at the ground, possibly due to the rider's high beams being on. The writer goes on to state that this is the only time in their life they felt they were truly in danger. They immediately hit the gas, taking off. They told their father what happened, but he laughed, saying that it was more than likely just a wolf as he'd been there for more than 25 years, so he wasn't worried.
Okay. I mean, living with something for 25 years on your property, I mean, that's
significant.
Yeah. And the fact that the guy really didn't have any, like, massive encounters, considering the fact in every story of the Dogman, you hear these things really are, like, hyper aggressive. This is one of the few stories where it's not hyper aggressive.
Yes and no. So I kind of went a little bit into some of these stories too, and there seems to be cycles.
Okay.
They do. There is a dormant period where it seems like there's what it looks like 10-year periods between sightings. Very, very similar to Mothman, where it's like a definite sighting cluster. So it's 10-year cycles. So yes, he could have lived there for 25 years and may have only caught a glimpse of something in 2 of those 10-year cycles.
Yeah.
But where do they go?
But where do they go? What do they do?
Where do
What
they
do they
go?
eat? The answer is anything they fucking want.
Yes, that is very true. But
I mean,
yes,
these things,
are they living in a portal with Bigfoot? Are they like in a
well,
cave with the cave dwellers? I don't know.
okay, interesting that you said that. Are they living in a portal with Bigfoot? Because from multiple accounts, these things and the Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call it, they don't get along.
No, very true.
They are both, obviously apex predators tend to not get along with each other.
I find that is true as an apex predator myself.
No comment. We all know you're a cougar. Anyway, so here's the thing. These things are have been known to have bouts of hyperaggression, hyperactive tendencies to attack things. There's a story called "The Land Between the Lake," a story from the Land Between the Lakes.
Yep.
I believe the story was a family was attacked and killed by one of these creatures. I'm not super familiar with it, to be honest with you. I believe the father and son were out gathering wood for a fire out in front of their camper when one of these things attacked both of them and killed them both. Then it went to the camper and attacked the mother and dragged the sister off into the woods and proceeded to unalive her. These things are kind of scary when you think about them. I mean, think about the description of the dog. I mean, the description of the Dogman is that it's got the head like almost of a. It's been compared to between a German Shepherd and a wolf itself. I mean, the Dogman is very strange in general, but I mean they're known to have large talons on their fingers. They have the hands of like a human, just with elongated features and talons, and then their feet are that of a wolf. I mean, it's bigger than any wolf you would ever see.
So
So,
I do want to just for the voice of Occam's razor, put it that way. So that story was circulated quite a bit. It was set in the 80s. The problem is only the aftermath was found.
Yeah.
So the bodies. So you don't really have any idea other than conjecture about what happened up to the point to the issue. But the fact that the little girl's clothing was eventually found, the young girl was eventually found.
Yeah.
Partially digested.
Yeah.
Is the nicest way to put it. But it could be easily chalked up to bear attack, wolf attack, depending on what time of year it was. Coming out of hibernation, a bear is going. He's hungry.
Yeah.
You're in his area. He's gonna eat you.
But also accounts during of that attack, they said that there were paw prints seen at the scene, but they were much larger than any wolf that is known to be in that area.
Very true. There could be some sort of thing that we don't know about, but I find it difficult to pin it to one creature without evidence of saying yes, it was this because they found hair and it matched this. So
just because the creature's
story,
not known to that area doesn't mean that the creature won't go into that area, because of us as humans encroaching on their natural territory, they're going to find somewhere else to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe, just maybe, the dire wolf was never extinct, and that's what hunted them.
The direwolf was extinct.
The dire wolf still is extinct, people. It is still
No,
extinct.
it's not.
Yes,
It
it
is.
is.
It is extinct.
No,
Yes,
it's not.
it is.
It
Yes,
is.
it is.
That thing
Because-
that they made is a genetically modified wolf. It is not a
It
dire
is
wolf.
95% direwolf.
No, it is 99% gray wolf, and that 1% is genetically altered genes in what they assume is the correct spaces of the dire wolf to create a dire wolf. The dire wolf is a species that is genetically linked both to the golden jackal and the gray wolf. This is a cosmetic abomination. That's as far as I'm going to go with it.
Okay. Point to our watchers. Christopher, put your comments in the comment section, not texting me, seriously. Christopher. Anyway, Chris agrees with you. Just FYI.
Yeah.
But he also says
it-
napalm. Napalm would fix
yeah.
it.
Oh, napalm would fix a lot of
Yeah,
things.
absolutely. No, I think what they're doing with the direwolf whole situation, like they're breeding they're big puppies. They're big puppies.
They're breeding an extra large size wolf
Yes.
that doesn't need to be around, and they have no plans to put them out into the wild.
Yes.
Because number one, if it was technically a dire wolf, there's the things that the dire wolf used to prey on don't fucking exist anymore.
Exactly. I mean, we've all seen Jurassic Park. If we're gonna bring back anything, I want that little guy with the one that spits acid.
Oh, I don't want that thing around.
I want that one.
No, I'm good.
I would have a pet compy.
I don't want any of them. Kill them all with fire.
Napalm?
No, give me a pack of raptors.
The raptors in those movies aren't even real raptors.
I bet if I had a raptor, it would be the best well-behaved raptor on the planet.
Okay, all right. We're getting off topic here.
Hey, let's talk about Dogman and pop culture.
Let's rewind that. Let's move over to Michelle here with the pop cultural references of Dogman. Go ahead.
All right, so there's quite a few little pieces, but the ones that were significant. What I'd like to do is start back from the earliest and get to the most recent. So I'm going to skip different types of pop culture. So in 1987, disc jockey Sam Cooke from Traverse City, Michigan, recorded a song called "The Legend," which he played as an April Fool's joke, based it on the myths around North America. And he claimed to have never heard of the Dogman at the time of the recording, but that's basically what it was about. But that was the first pop culture reference, Dogman. Which leads us into 2005, the American horror film Beast of Bray Road.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Written and directed by Lee Scott. I have seen said movie. It was not great, but you know what? It was a horror movie, and your girl likes horror movies. So.
And I agree, horror movies are good and everything like that.
They're great.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But the Beast of Bray Road, it's not really a Dogman.
It's not a Dogman, but it is based on those incidents in Michigan. There was a lot of poetic license that was taken with that story.
Yeah. I mean, the actual story of the Beast of Bray Road is more so of a canine rather than.
I'm gonna get there.
Okay. Well, go ahead. Well, then get there.
Hey.
That's what he said.
Exactly.
Today. Today, Junior.
Which leads us into Dogman, the movie. 2012 low budget indie written and directed by Richard Brower.
Okay.
Fun fact, there are 2 sequels to said Dogman movie. It was terrible, by the way.
Oh,
Terrible.
lovely.
But there was Dogman 2, The Wrath of the Litter, and Dogman 3, Fight to the Finish.
Okay, and I'm going to say this about these
And I
3
watched them.
horrible
Yes.
movies.
They were terrible.
They were terrible. They weren't even B movies. They were like F movies.
They were, yes, they were definitely very, very,
The just the oh my goodness,
they were bad. They were
horrible,
bad.
horrible films.
They were bad. And then we get into the 2014 Expedition X had an episode called The Dogman Conspiracy, season 8, episode 8.
Okay.
It was very badly received by the people who watched it. Very badly received because the Expedition X, instead of sticking to what they normally do and just kind of like talk through the issues and the findings and whatever, they hired an actor to play the dog man and filmed it, and it was just bad.
See, now
Yes.
when I think Dogman, I think of what you see more so of what you saw in the horror movie. Oh, what was the name of it? Dog Soldiers.
Yes. Yes.
Large
Well, it was
wolf-like
more-
creatures.
Dog Soldiers was more werewolf, though.
Yeah,
but
it was more
that-
werewolf, but at the
but
same
that's what
time,
I
that's what you
also
think of
envisioned.
when you see the Dogman.
Yeah. So
I mean, granted, there's no stories of the Dogman that says that it changes to a human.
no, because I don't think there's that kind of thing.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's how they hide.
Oh, maybe it is kind of like a
Or
little werewolfy kind of thing.
or like Jasper just said, maybe that's why they come in 10-year increments.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Which leads me down to Monsters and Mysteries TV series from the early, what was it, 2018-19, season 2, episode 4. Wendigo, Dogman, and Wolfman. It was actually a really good episode. I did watch that one. It's 54 minutes. It is available on YouTube. I would suggest it. It's a good one. It goes down the path of the Wendigo, Dogman, Wolfman connections.
Okay.
Pretty interesting. Which gets me to a TV series that I have a very difficult time calling reality because it is a heavily produced, heavily scripted reality in quotes show called Tracking Down Dogman. It was a TV series that had 8 episodes, 2014-15. Yes, it is working now, Chris. After an eye-opening encounter, Matt becomes determined to track down the Michigan Dogman, set in Leelanau. I don't know how to pronounce this. County, Michigan. Series was put together for fun and doesn't actually contain any Dogman evidence or footage.
Okay.
So, very bad. And the last movie, Beast of Bray Road, 2018, American documentary film written and directed by Seth Breedlove. Actually really, really well put together. I think the thought process on that was they went into it with an open mind, and I think they provided information. They provided skeptical information.
Okay.
Fun point about that one: Beast of Bray, the Bray Road Beast documentary, was crowdfunded by Kickstarter.
Interesting.
Exactly. And then the last 2 things I'm going to call out because they're, in our realm. There are 2 podcasts that I highly suggest. if you are interested in the Dogman. The first one
That aren't
is
ours.
that aren't ours. The Dogman Encounters Radio with
Okay.
Vic Cundiff. I found that not too terribly long ago and have been binging on it. There are
Binging on it.
581 episodes. So
Oh
there
wow.
is not a lack of information. There's also one that has not a lot, 7 episodes, but they're really good, called The Bigfoot and Dogman Show.
Okay.
Yeah. So that that's kind of all I had specifically for Dogman in
Okay.
pop culture. If you wanted to go down the route of the combination Wolfman, Dogman, or even the
I mean, there's
Dogman
similar.
in Native American culture, then there's more. But if you're
Yeah.
specifically sticking to the Dogman concept, that's kind of where I drew the line.
Well, I mean, you could draw comparisons between Dogman and Wolfman. You know, uh, through just generalization of the appearance
True.
of the animal. Um, the appearance of Wolfmen in history are just very much similar to what we know as Dogman here in the States. Um, but when you want to go into the native aspect,
Yes.
what they believe, what they've seen, there's and I can't say the dang name. Michelle, you know the name of the tribe out west. Um,
Do you want me to give? Let me do it.
Go ahead.
So the earliest known descriptions of the Dogman came from the 1600s from the Odawa, also known the Ottawa people. Um, just so happened to be part of the First Nations.
Mhm.
They are part of the Ojibwe and Potawatomi peoples. They have a creature that is called the what?
The Lumikin.
The Lumikin, that is basically described the same way that we would describe Dogman. Extremely tall, 7 foot or more, blue or amber eyed, bipedal, canine looking thing with the torso of an animal, the legs of a wolf, and the facial structure of a wolf.
Yeah.
Extremely hairy, extremely tall, extremely strong, and extremely aggressive.
Yeah, and there's two types of them. There's the ones that watch, and those are usually the ones with the blue eyes. They're the ones
Yes.
that are the watchers. They watch everything that's going on. They keep an eye on nature and the balance of nature.
And
And
then the
then
red
there, and
eyes,
then
yeah.
the red and yellow eyed ones are the ones that like to mess with people. The ones that like
Yes.
to get right up in your face and
Marines.
will
Yes, exactly.
ruin your day
Yes.
heavily.
So a lot of the Native American cultures from that area, they're strike soldiers. They're Marines,
Hmm.
if you will. Um, they were often referred to as the Dogman fighters of the tribes because they were the ones who went in and decimated whatever enemy they had. Dog soldiers, dogmen, that is kind of where it goes to.
Well, the dogmen of the southern neighbor uh, First Nation tribes were warriors that just wore skins of wolves to blend into the high grassland in order to sneak up on people.
Is that how it's done?
I don't remember off the top of my head, um,
Yeah.
but they were warriors, and what they called they called themselves the dogmen. Um, they were able to mimic the sounds of the wolves and everything like that, so that way they would never be seen. Um,
They're basically using an early version of a ghillie suit.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
The dog soldiers, the Indian fighters were particularly common among the Cheyenne, um specifically focusing their rage on the white settlers who were
yeah,
encroaching on their lands. Two of their leaders were known as Tall Bull and White Horse.
Mhm. Which,
Kiro did the
right on.
dog soldier raids against the white settlements and the military posts in the area.
Right on. Tall bull.
Tall Bull, that you don't eat that. Never mind.
Anyway.
I'm on it. Mm-mm.
I think I know where your brain just went.
Yep. She was, yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. Anyway. But anyway, getting back to the Lumikin of the West Coast. I mean, these things, from everything that I've found on Lumikin, they are terrors.
Yeah.
And they are summoned by members of the wolf clan of that particular tribe, through blood and through their blood and through certain ceremonies and stuff like that, to bring them into course correct and in balance. There's a great story out there. It's called Rogue. You can find it on Audible. You can find it, in your on Kindle. You can find it on anything. But it depicts a one of these creatures going toe to toe with a rogue Sasquatch that has gotten a taste for humans.
Ooh, I feel that.
Yeah. Great book. Recurring characters from another series that was really well done. But if you get a chance, look it up. It's called Rogue. The guy who wrote it is going to be making another one called Southern Rogue. So that's going to be, they're going to be moving all over the place, going after these things. But
Our comment
anyway,
section is extremely fun right now. Just FYI.
yeah, I can see that.
Thanks,
Kate,
Kate.
relax. Calm down.
Dizzy.
Dizzy, be good.
Did you just say
Anyway,
those words together? Be good and dizzy in the same?
yes.
Mm-mm.
Anyway, so getting back to things,
Yeah.
Jasper's got a second story for us.
I do.
Go ahead, Jasper. Go ahead and hit us with that second story.
Make it so.
In the spring of 2010, this writer and their friends decided to go for a moonlit stroll close to midnight. They left the house and proceeded to cross the highway into the countryside. After losing track of time and walking out for hours, turning out to be about 6 miles both ways, they came to the road that runs close to the highway US 131. The writer and one of the others accompanying them were a couple 100 feet away from the other person when they got into the middle of the street, very close to a ditch and a small marsh on the other side. After walking into the middle of the road, underneath the streetlight, they heard a very loud and deep growling and snarling. The snarling was followed by loud thumps and thrashing about in the weeds and tall grass. Right when they heard these sounds, they both took off running as fast as they could in the opposite direction from the sound until they were about 400 feet away from her and had a clear view of the area. The writer would like us to keep in mind that they were armed with several knives and a spear, which they had brought just in case of coyotes, which are a big problem in the area where the story takes place. Even being as armed as they were, they instantly knew they didn't have a chance against whatever made the noises. After running back out of harm's way, they stopped and listened, quiet as mice. They could hear distant thumping footsteps and something being smashed around and water moving. After a couple minutes without further noise, they proceeded back towards where the noises came from, as it was the only way home. As they got closer, the noises began again, causing them to run back again. And they repeated this process several times until they heard it run off into the brush. They ran pretty much the whole way home. They go on to say that they have heard plenty of coyotes before, but they sound nothing like whatever they heard that night, and they'd never been so scared in their lives.
Okay.
So unfortunately, no visual sightings, but maybe a verbal sighting.
Okay. Well, I was doing a deep dive over on Reddit the other day, and I found a story of my own too to add to this. But the ability of these things to kind of like hide and not be seen if they choose not to be. I mean, it's very similar to that of the Bigfoot Sasquatch ability, staying in plain sight but unseen.
Yeah.
But anyway, good sighting. I mean, at least when it comes to terms of a audio sighting, audible sighting rather. But I wouldn't classify it as an actual sighting because it could have been damn near anything.
Yeah, it could have just been like a regular wolf.
Yeah.
I've been called worse.
We know this. Anyway, all right. So here's the Reddit post that I found, and it was in a hunters forum over on Reddit, and
Hunters Forum. Is that what you said?
it was in one of the hunters forums that I just kind of like was perusing. But I thought this bared, a thought. This hunter said he was sitting in his tree stand early one morning. He was waiting for deer, and made a couple of deer calls and heard some rustling around the area. He thought he saw movement at the edge of the pasture, across the way from where his tree stand was. Then all of a sudden he heard something below him. Thinking it a deer, he knocked an arrow, looked down, and what he saw caused him to, in his own words, shit his pants.
First, I hope he's being funny about it.
No, he's being literal. He said, "I've never seen anything that would make me that scared until that day."
Wow. Okay.
He looked down and saw a wolf face looking up at him, but it wasn't a regular wolf's face. Much larger, much broader, and unlike a normal wolf, this thing had arms and hands.
Hands?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, evidently, this creature decided that seeing him, it made for a good snack. So it tried to climb his tree stand. Hello, Kim. Welcome in. He then tried to shoot an arrow at said creature and missed horribly because his hands were shaking so badly. Next thing he knows, he hears rushing from another portion of the woods that he was in. And the wolf-like creature was tackled off the edge of the tree stand
by Blue,
by what he described as the hairy man of the woods, basically Sasquatch. This Sasquatch creature and what he can only assume was a dog man began fighting violently. At one point,
totally buy a ticket to that fight if it were televised.
At one point, the wolfman bit the Sasquatch on the shoulder. The Sasquatch then grabbed a small dead tree off the ground and proceeded to beat the wolf over the head multiple times, like a baseball bat, evidently. As he says,
Dogman should not have pissed off the
right.
I can't think of the word.
Should not have pissed off Bigfoot.
Man.
He said if he was a major league hitter, he would have swung for the fences multiple times and would have knocked one out of the park every time with how hard he was beating this thing back. He was frozen in fear, had no idea what to do. The two creatures barreled off after each other. One would retreat and go off. The other one would retreat and go off again. So these things were literally sizing each other up during this fight, evidently. Once they got out of his sight line and he could no longer see the creatures, he decided to make a break for it. He jumped down out of his tree stand and hightailed it back across the pasture to where his truck was. Once he got in his truck, he heard a god-awful roar, which he could only attribute to the Sasquatch creature as a roar of victory.
Right.
Oh, he killed the dog man.
Now,
Killed.
this is the shit I find on Reddit.
Okay.
Besides
so,
big titty MILFs, anyway. But you know,
I'm not a MILF.
listen, not just I got different tastes. Okay, give me a break.
Okay. While I find that story intriguing, what year was this supposed to have happened?
This supposedly happened back in 1998.
Okay, so pre good cell phone cameras, pre hunting trail cameras.
Pre everything.
Okay.
Pre everything
right.
good. Which
right.
this is what you find,
So I have a little interesting tidbit to pop in, and I think
Hey,
Torsten
how are you?
Torsten's gonna like this, and he's gonna have some things to say. So I'm
Okay.
waiting for Torsten to weigh in.
All right.
So what I found was dogman sightings typically occur in areas that are especially rich in quartz. They've also been known to have more interaction where there are cairns or mounds, stone formations on your property if you don't know of them. There have been many stories about dogmen crouched over mounds or digging as if they were looking for something. There is a person who's got a theory that I read through, and I don't agree with it, but whatever. Werewolves and dogmen share a connection to Anubis, who is the protector of graves and the guide to the underworld.
I can see that.
So it's kind of an interesting idea, the connection to Anubis, the connection to like the spirit realm or whatever that the dogmen are protecting. Maybe they're protecting the for lack of a better word, the portal between the non-spiritual realm and spiritual realm. Rar.
So
basically, rar.
So that would make them basically Anubis's version of Cerberus.
Yes. So that's why I figured that you would have something to say on this, because it's definitely in your alley.
Well, if that, like you say, that like people have seen them around cairns and mounds and things like that, and there's more of them in this country than anywhere on the dang planet.
Yes.
Yeah, there's not stories of dogmen over here.
Yeah, you guys only have werewolves.
But if they're connected, if the werewolf / dogman, maybe they're different breeds or versions of the same kind of thing. They're still protectors, but it's a concept. I'm not agreeing with it or disagreeing with it. I just think it's a very interesting way to look at it.
You see, in the werewolf side comes more from your Irish Gaelics than mainland Britain.
There's too many Irish people in the comments section right now, so I am
I
gonna
know.
keep my mouth shut.
I'm
right
yeah.
now.
I'm not opening that can of worms.
I have nothing against my Irish cousins, but they tend to see shit that ain't there because they drink too much, and there's too much greenery, and they love this drink that they make in a bathtub that will make
So
you
what
go
you're
blind.
saying is the drunk ass Irish are kind of making stuff up, is what you're saying.
I'm not saying that because being half of their cousins from Scotland, we're just as bad when it comes to the old tipple in seeing things that may or may not be there.
Yeah. Our Irish brethren, Christopher says, at least it's a clean bathtub.
No,
I'm not even going there. I'm not even going there.
If you
not
could
doing it.
We do.
stuff out of a
We do
bathtub,
have an Irish writer to be thankful for some of the greatest horror stories written.
We do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Yes.
But no,
And
I found that
where we get a
information.
lot of our legends from around
Yeah.
certain creatures, and they had to get the inspiration from somewhere. My my personal opinion on most of it, I just think it's a fuck off big dog or wolf. You look at the size of some dogs, they
Yeah.
is big, and when they stand up, they are frigging tall. Stupid. A Great Dane, if it goes up on its hind legs, it's 6 foot plus.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, there's
And people
also
that
the
say
fact
that
that most of
dogs,
these sightings
that
are happening at night. So
yeah,
people's ability
Perception
to
can be a lot of the
perception,
issue because
maybe your
at
depth.
night everything looks bigger.
Yeah, so you say.
that's what she said.
Shut up. Anyway,
Or a dire wolf. No, Christopher, no.
no, we're not going down the dire wolf diatribe yet again
He
because
wants a
I
dire
am
wolf
complete.
so bad.
It's not a dire wolf. It's a cosmetic freaking animal that's not even a real dire wolf.
but
No,
what
he
if they
wants a real
never
one.
went
He wants
extinct?
a real one.
It's not.
He's gonna have to go back in time to when dire wolves existed and bring one back.
Ugh. I hate this topic. Anyway,
Well, then.
join us
Welcome to
next
the
week when we
internet.
talk about how dire wolves aren't fucking dire wolves. Anyway,
They're not. It's a puppy. I want a puppy. Anyway, so I just found that piece interesting about the like massive quartz deposits, and the fact that a lot of the cryptids that we also talk about, they're typically linked to something like that, where they're more often seen around certain types of things, whether it's a mountain that's got more anthracite or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Words are hard. So there's like stuff.
The genealogical.
Yes, they're geological points, especially when you're talking about the monster belt. So we all know what the monster belt is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So
Go ahead and explain it for the people that don't know what it is.
so the monster belt is a key geographic region around the band of the earth where not all, but typically most monster sightings, most cryptid sightings are found within a monster belt, including dogmen and Bigfoot and werewolves and all these things. You're talking about a band. And that's where typically you have your ley lines, if you are familiar with any of this stuff. You're missing 411 folks. There's lots of interesting pieces that could tie it together.
Dizzy, I absolutely agree. Most and I'm going to say it, most white women are going to see a dog man and go, I want to pet the puppy. No.
True. That is how I will die. Kitty, come here, kitty. And it's going to be like a tiger or a Siberian. Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
No,
I know you
we're
got
not
more
dying now.
Lion.
Mom.
I want to pet
But
the kitty. I want the puppy. Come here, puppy. Speaking of
okay,
kitties.
so
Oh,
speaking of kitties, the Murder Mittens is now on
Dexter Morgan says hello.
screen. Hello, Dexter.
Now.
Anyway, so what are our thoughts here? You know, wrapping up today. I mean, what are our thoughts on the Dogman? Is it something tangible, or is it just a psychosis of the mind?
I want to hear Torsten's thoughts first.
Thorsten, go ahead.
I think it's a psychosis of the mind, personally, with the Dogman, not with all cryptids, with Dogman in particular.
Okay.
I think it's people's perception of what we see in the dark to what we see in the light is completely different. We see things in the shadows that aren't really there, which I think explains a lot of it in people just mistaking a breed of wolf or dog that they have never seen before and they can't explain it, so they have to come up with an explanation for what it could have been.
I could not have said it better myself.
Okay.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Jasper?
Counterpoint, in my first story, there were high beams on the creature. Therefore, their visual was clear. So it was not something that was hidden in the shadows.
But you're also talking about high beams of a car that are typically a different type of light, so they're halogen, or I think that's what the word is that I'm looking for.
They used to be halogen. Now a lot of them are
LED.
LEDs.
So
I see
depending on
LED.
what was around it, the light could have altered what was
They're
actually seen.
Yeah, there is a difference in terms of what you see through halogen light versus LED light. LED light, you see things a lot clearer. Old school
Yeah.
halogen light, it makes things look way bigger than they should.
Anybody that's driven down a country road at night and with halogen lights in will tell you after a certain period of time you see shit that ain't there.
Yeah.
I would like to. It's not related to Dogman, but it is related to driving in the dark with halogen lights. This one time when I was 17 years old, I was driving down a side road in my tiny ass little East Texas town. I had just dropped my friend off at her house and I was coming around a corner and my lights struck this thing running across the road. I swear it was one of those garden gnomes. It was like 2 feet
Oh,
tall.
we're
It
gonna
was
talk about
wearing
garden gnomes.
like a little bag here. It was wearing like a little jacket, had a little hat on. It just ran across the road. Was I
A little tipsy.
possibly on some sort of drug type thing? Maybe. I was 17, but I swear I saw it. I saw it.
Okay. Well, on that note, I'm gonna put my 2 cents in now. I believe that we're never gonna find out whether or not certain things exist. I mean, there's always going to be skeptical analysis in terms of whether something is or isn't real until the day we have something on a slab. Um, that's just my personal opinion. But once we have something like that, then we'll be able to definitively say something's going on. Do I think it's right? No. Do I agree with it? No. But unfortunately, that's the way science works.
Would I still want to try to get a Dogman for a pet? Yes.
Like I said, I've already got a Wolfman.
Anyway,
I think the cats would appreciate it. I'm just saying.
on that note, we got a few more minutes here. I'm going to chalk this up to you wonderful people down there in the comment section. What do you guys think we should do for a topic for next week? You guys got any ideas? I'm going to give it to you guys, and we'll figure this out. Let's go to the comment section. Any
land cryptids, water cryptids, fictional cryptids, cryptids from movies, magics.
are we are we talking like, in terms of fictional cryptids, are we talking like the Minotaur?
Yes.
Cyclops?
Yes. I mean, we've talked about the Loch Ness Monster. We've talked about Fae.
We've talked about a lot of things. But there's still so many more cryptids out there. So I'm giving it up to you guys. Come on, let's sound off in the comment section. Let's see what we got going on.
Man, the Kraken. There's always the Kraken. Mongolian death worm, always awesome.
We've already done Fae, yes.
Yes. Giant squids. Is that a cryptid or is that real?
That's real.
Giant squids went from being a cryptid creature to being a real creature.
Yeah, they found them tons of bitches.
And they've
we
also
haven't done Chupacabra yet. We haven't done the Dover Demon.
They have also they've also figured out that the giant squid was what the Kraken myth was based on.
We haven't done the Thunderbird, the Puckwudgies. We did the Levelland Frog, didn't we? Or I know we've talked about the Levelland Frog like 100 times.
We've talked about Levelland. Yeah, we've talked about the Levelland Frog.
The Snallygaster, just because I like saying it.
Red caps.
You know what? What do you guys think about the
good.
Chupacabra? Like, we haven't really talked about the Chupacabra.
That's true. We haven't talked about the Chupacabra yet.
And I just like saying Chupacabra.
Well, I'm gonna give our comment section 2 more minutes to sound off and give us a topic. Otherwise, we're gonna do Chupacabra for next week.
Dover Demon, Jersey Devil. We did the Jersey Devil, right?
We have talked about the Jersey Devil, yes.
Okay. And we shallow dived into Skinwalkers. Shallow dive.
Yeah, we will be doing another episode on Skinwalkers later on. It's just there's so much information.
Could do Wendigos.
There's a ton of stuff on Wendigos.
Pacific Northwest giant octopus.
There's no Jersey Wolfman unless you're talking about Blue.
That's me. And we're not doing a deep dive into Blue. Some people already have.
They're a protected species here.
I am a protected species.
Giant octopus. I'm torn between Chupacabra, Thunderbird, and the Wendigo.
The Wendigo.
Wendigo's got a lot out there, though.
Dizzy says Chupacabra.
Okay.
Okay, we got
one Chupacabra.
Got one for Chupacabra. Anybody else? Come on, there's 9 of you here. Let's go.
10. Now there's 9. I want to talk about the Chupacabra.
Okay, fine. Next week.
Chupacabra.
Thank you.
Join us next week, 2 p.m. Eastern. And all the other freaking times.
By the way, do you know what Chupa? Chup chup. Spanish translation.
Goat sucker.
Suck. Yeah. Chup chups. Chup chups.
But we're gonna dive deep into the lore and the possible existence of the infamous
Chupacabra.
goat sucker from the South America, the chupacabra.
Which
So,
many sightings are in my home state.
yep.
A little
Is
Texas.
it a mangy dog or is it something more?
It's a mangy dog. No, I'm excited. Yay! Chupacabra.
Okay, so we're hitting up Chupacabra next week. Join us next week, folks. Same bad time, same bad channel, only here on Cryptid Conversations. Thank you for joining us. We will catch you next week. Stay blessed, stay amazing, and remember,
If you can't be good, be bad.
there's cryptid creatures out there.
Oh, no. If you can't be good, be bad. If you're going to be bad, be
No,
good at it.
I'll changing it up. All right. If you can't be good, be bad. And if you're going to be bad, at least be good at it. We'll catch you next week. Keep the conversation cryptid and let's get going. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll catch you next week. Check out our merch link in our bio. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you soon.